this Texas bill to ban all anime. I was not aware of this. So I decided to pull up a video, and I'm kind of shocked about this. So this is, I think it's Chibi Reviews. Man, Chibi Reviews is always, people are always mad at him for something. There's a Texas bill to ban all anime, and it passes the House.
If you don't know what you're looking at, let me explain. This is the bill in Texas that threatens to ban all anime. For instance, if you were to watch something like Goblin Slayer, One Piece, Naruto, or Bleach, you would be labeled as a felon. You might recall this conversation earlier this year, back in February 2025, where everybody was talking about it, and it gained so much traction that we even have Japanese politicians talking about the subject and closely monitoring this bill that is actively moving through Congress, moving through the House and Senate, and how it can have an overarching effect not just on the United States, but also around the world. Because the bill, for many people's agreement, it's unconstitutional. It will affect freedom of speech, freedom of expression. It will hurt cartoons. It'll hurt anime, animation, drawings. It will hurt a lot of things. And so a lot of people are actively watching where this bill is going. However, you might recall a few weeks ago, there was an article I covered and many others talked about as well, to where Niche Gamers said that Democrats block a bill to ban Goblin Slayer and other anime in Texas. And the bill in question that was blocked, according to this article, was SB 20, which I'm talking about in this video. This article is clearly not accurate. It is not accurate by any means, because the bill just a few days ago effectively was passed by the House. And it's actually worse than you thought. It wasn't the Democrats trying to block it. In fact, the Democrats all said yes to the bill, and so did the Republicans. So both political sides of the spectrum basically said yes to the bill being passed. 139 yeses, 0 nays, and 2 present but did not vote. So what this effectively means is it was a unanimous vote from both political parties to put.
So I want to make a point that we're talking about banning anime, but we're not worried about Jeffrey Epstein. We're going to protect fictional drawn characters, but we're not going to address Jeffrey Epstein. Makes a lot of sense.
SB 20 in action. So this article saying that Democrats were on the side of the people trying to ban this bill is factually incorrect. This was made back in the 8th of May, 2025. I wanted to point this out because many might remember I covered this topic and so many others did.
It's also very interesting that every Democrat and every Republican voted yes for this. Interesting indeed.
But it's very clear that this is aged very poorly and the bill is still moving through. And so I don't know where this information actually came from. But let's get back on topic. So what is the bill? Why are people worried? And how will this affect you? So first of all, we need to talk about this subject right here. It has been filed. It was out of Senate committee. Then it was voted on by the Senate. Then it was out of the House committee. And then it was voted on by the House. And as you can see by the dates here, literally on the 22nd of May here, it was voted unanimously. It passed. You can see the color codings here. If it's green, it indicates that the bill has passed this stage. There's 2 more stages for it to officially become a law. For instance, it needs to reach the governor table, and then the bill becomes law. And where you're getting the overall date of September 1st, apparently, according to this, if the bill does pass the government table, the governor's table, it will officially become a law on September 1st, 2025, pretty much banning all anime in the states.
How do you do this? This is crazy.
Which means that this can have an overarching effect, and this bill might be introduced into other states around the country and might cause other countries to follow suit with this bill. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. What I'm trying to say is that the bill so far hasn't.
Yeah, if anybody actually thinks this is good because maybe you think anime is cringy or whatever, you are completely retarded and you don't understand. Censorship is bad. The government doesn't give a fuck about you. And the second you think the government gives a shit about you, you are the NPC they're looking for. The government doesn't give a fuck about anime. Trust me when I tell you that. And if you're dumb enough to believe that the government actually cares about anime, you are so far gone and retarded that I can't help you, because they don't
fully become law yet. However, it's not inaccurate to say the bill hasn't passed. It did pass the House, and it is concerning, especially when you factor in that
somebody said anime is evil. You know what's evil? Crooked fucking politicians that are essentially taking your anger and manipulating you to make you think that they care about you. You can hate anime all you want. I don't give a shit. But to think that these politicians are worried about you and care about you, they are manipulating you from an emotional level, and you are too blinded by your hatred of something to understand that you're being used by very evil fucking people, and you're being manipulated right before our very eyes.
At all sides, Republicans and Democrats, said yes to the bill, which means that it is not really a far-fetched thing to say that the governor of Texas won't sign it and say yes to it. It's very, very unlikely he's going to deny it. It's possible, but it's very unlikely when you have both sides agree on this subject. So, if it does theoretically happen and it does become law, that's where things get even more interesting. It will obviously be pushed into federal court, aka the Supreme Court, and it will be, probably for many.
And also the anime are evil people. Go ahead and put a pink pussy hat on and talk about how guns are evil too, and how guns are the worst thing ever. And I guess we should go ahead and get rid of guns too, right?
Years, maybe months, I don't know, where it's going to be debated if it's constitutional or not. And at this current time, it's appearing that it's definitely not constitutional. So let's get into the wording and why people are actually concerned. This right here is what the Texas SB 20 bill has within it, and I showed this many months ago when this was brought up, but basically, at first glance, this seems like a good thing that the politicians brought up. They're trying to ban usage of AI depicting actual kids and images of kids being processed through AI.
Which is a very good thing in isolation, but what happens with these bills is that essentially they're headlined by something that everyone will go, well, yeah, I mean, I agree with that. We want to protect children. We want to protect, animation depicting children. Of course, everybody's on board. Yay, yay, yay. But it's all of the details that you're not paying attention to that is the real damage. And this is what happens with these things all the time, is that people fall for the fucking headline. It's the same thing that happens on social media all the fucking time, where people see a fucking headline, they don't read the details, they don't look at the substance, and they make a decision off of it. And that's what's happening right here, just like it happens every time. These are politicians. They are trained evil, manipulative pieces of shit, and they know how to tug at your heartstrings. They know how to go after you on an emotional level. They know the things that people are going to sit there and cheer and all be on the same page over, but then it's the details. The devil is in the details every time.
At first glance, this is a good thing. I fully support that. I'm just going to be completely point blank on that. It is a good thing that they want to ban that, because obviously that is very harmful. However, the bill also adds and tacks on cartoons, animation, and other things like that, and sculptures, which means that it won't just stop at actual real kids being hurt, but just random depictions in anime, manga, and also in cartoons will effectively be banned, which is why the subject matter of you can become a felon just for watching Goblin Slayer, One Piece, Naruto, or Bleach, or other anime has been brought up because of this. Now, in terms of...
Well, if my current president taught me anything, it's that being felon is a good thing, because I voted for a felon. Felon 47.
Optics, when you look at the overall captions of this bill, it makes a lot of sense why both political parties have, unanimously said yes to this bill, because obviously it does look bad if you go against this bill. It does. Because obviously, why wouldn't you want to protect a kid? Makes sense. It does. It does. However, with the way the wording is and how loose it is and how obscenity laws are and everything, it could be really harmful to a lot of people. It can actually legitimately cause just blanket bans of anime, manga, sculptures, paintings. You get the point. So that is where the concern actually lies. So I understand why the both parties on both political sides probably unanimously agreed to this, because they might not have read the entirety of the bill, and they might not fully understand what anime and cartoons are. And let's be honest, there's a lot of old fogies within Congress, the Senate, and House, and Supreme Court. Yeah, of course they wouldn't understand technology and cartoons and anime, etc. It's not meant for them. They don't watch what we watch, basically. So what I'm trying to say is that there is a lot of optics around this. There's a lot of people discussing about the AI segment of it, which makes sense why they want to ban that. I'm actually on board with that, because processing real, actual kids in an AI generator.
This is the problem. It's not about anime. It's what's next. And that's my problem with this whole thing, is the government is not interested in what's in your best interest. They never have been. Generally speaking, they're just not. And we've known that forever and a day. So if you're telling me, like, I think there's a lot of fucking weird anime out there. I am very much the definition of a normie when it comes to anime. I've seen some. I think Death Note is fantastic. I've seen a handful of anime, either movies or shows, that I've very much enjoyed. But there's a lot of weird shit out there that I won't go anywhere near. With that said, though, this is not about anime. This is about something far beyond that, and that's what concerns me.
Yes, that is dangerous. Very dangerous. But attaching other stuff associated with that is what the problem with this bill actually is. That's why people have an issue with it. Because, like I said, you could just become a felon for watching One Piece or Goblin Slayer, which is obviously not a good thing. So, what happens next? Well, at this current time, the bill stages, it's up to the governor. We have to see what the governor is going to do. We got to see if it's going to pass or not. You know, maybe the governor just denies it, and that means that it does not happen. It won't pass. But there's a very high likely chance it's going to, which then that means the next stage is the Supreme Court, which is not good. So we'll see where that one goes. But yeah, I wanted to keep everybody up to date because I saw a lot of...
So there you go. That's that. So again, I knew nothing about this until Johnny the Wiz Kid brought it up yesterday in a super chat. So, but I'm not for banning of things in general. And I wish we lived in a world where nothing was banned, including mean words. I don't think anything. I've said forever and a day, I'm not a drinker. I'm not a smoker. I don't do drugs. But I mean, look, man, I think you should, if alcohol and tobacco are illegal, then you should make drugs legal too. You know? I mean, I'm not gonna do them. Who am I to tell people you can't get high and do damage to yourself? It's not my fucking business. You know, go for it. You know, has no effect on me.